God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?
Hello and welcome to our second session of the 2025 Astrophotography Prize judging. We're thrilled to have you join us from wherever you are across the world. Today, we will be showcasing some outstanding astrophotography as we commence the live judging of the top 26 images in the solar system category. I'm Robyn Campbell, and together with Andy Campbell, Daniel and Nathan Bingham, we have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring this live judging event together. The event would not be possible without some generous support of our sponsors. We'd like to extend our gratitude to our major sponsor, Celestron. Celestron have sponsored our overall winner with the Celestron Edge 9.25 HD telescope OTA. It's valued at around 3,000 USD. How awesome is that? The highest scoring image taken on a Celestron OTA will also win the Celestron Prize, which is an intelligent home observatory valued at around 4,000 USD. I tell you what, we are really, really thankful, Celestron, and I'm sure whoever takes away those amazing prizes will be as well. We're about to judge the solar system category, which is sponsored by Sidereal. First prize is a QHY 5III 67C color planetary camera valued at 500 USD. Thank you so much to the guys from Sidereal for giving me such a fabulous roll off the tongue title. Our runner-up prize will come from Astrophotography with a voucher valued at 200 USD. So very soon we are going to kick off our live judging. This is how it's going to work. Each finalist image will be assessed by our live expert panel with real-time commentary, insights, and the occasional challenge. Challenges are exciting. There's nothing better than having your image challenged by a pool of experts. As we go, the scores will be judged on the screen so you can see what is happening. And once we have finished, all the scores are in, we go offline, and our panel will deliberate behind the scenes to determine who the winner is. And they will choose that winner based off the 5 highest scoring images. So before we get started with our judging, we are going to do what's called a run through, and we're going to show those top 26 images. Thanks, Daniel. All righty, I would now like to introduce the judges on the panel to you. So first up, we have Lorenzo Lorenzi from Singapore. Marco is... Marco?
Marco Lorenzi, yes.
Yeah, hello Marco, how are you going? Marco is an Italian astrophotographer based in Singapore. He has over 30 years experience capturing planetary images locally and deep sky targets remotely from Chile. His work has been widely published and he has earned multiple APODs. He won the deep sky and robotic imaging sections in 2021 with runner-up in the planetary category in 2023. Welcome, Marco.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
We also have Martin Lewis from the UK. So Martin is a UK-based planetary imager. He is a telescope builder and deep sky stretcher with a lifelong passion for astronomy. Working from his garden in Hertfordshire with his home-built 444mm and 222mm Dobsonian telescopes on a self-made equatorial platform. He has been shortlisted for the Astronomy Photographer of the Year for 8 consecutive years, winning the Planets category twice. He's a professional engineer, and he also serves as the treasurer of the West London Astronomical Society and advises on equipment from the BAA and assists the Mars section director. My goodness, that's quite a portfolio there, Martin. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, it keeps me busy.
I can imagine. Amazing. Our next person is Anthony Wesley. So Anthony is an Australian amateur astronomer and computer programmer. He's based in Queensland and is renowned for his planetary imaging, particularly of Jupiter. Using modest home-based telescopes, he discovered in 2009 and 2010 Jupiter impact events, demonstrating that even relatively small impacts could be observed from Earth and highlighting the important role of amateur astronomers in space discovery. Amazing. Welcome, Anthony.
Good evening, Robyn and everybody. Great pleasure to be here.
Amazing contributions to science. Thank you. Next up, we have Neil McNeil. So Neil is an Australian planetary imager who turned his lifelong passion for astronomy into a serious pursuit after retiring in 2014. Using Celestron Edge HD telescopes, he has captured striking images and animations of planetary phenomena, including a scientifically valuable 2018 Mars dust sequence. Neil brings technical expertise, a keen eye for detail, and genuine enthusiasm to the Astro Prize judging panel. Welcome, Neil.
Thanks very much, Robyn. Hi, everyone. Looking forward to the session very much.
Fantastic. And we have Steve Boddy. So Sub Steve, that's some nickname, I really like that, is a Melbourne-based award-winning astrophotographer. He's also a music composer, which I think is super cool, and I hear he brings some of that to his imaging as well. He's also an educator with expertise in image processing and collaborative imaging. He's a member of Deep Sky Collective and New Horizon team. He's contributed to discoveries including SDSO-1, the first identified ghost planetary nebula, and has co-authored related research. That's very impressive, Steve. He has received international recognition, including multiple NASA APODs, 19 Astrobin Images of the Day, and top honours at the Australian Photographic Prize, and multiple shortlisting in the Royal Greenwich Astronomer Photographer of the Year. Wow, Steve, that's an awful lot of awards to your name. Congratulations.
Thank you, Robyn, and thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute delight. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate our judges who volunteer their time to come along and give you their expert advice. So take it all on board. They're here for a reason. And it's incredible that as an entrant, you get to sort of hear behind the scenes of what goes through our judges' minds. So without further ado, it's now time to hand things over to our panel mentor, Andy Campbell. So Andy's our competition director and a renowned astrophotographer in his own right. Grandmaster of the AIPP and Fellow of the NZIPP. He's the past winner of the Deep Sky section at the David Malan Awards, 4 times shortlisted for the Royal Greenwich Observatory International Astronomer of the Year, and twice Australian Science Photographer of the Year, and numerous NASA APOD features. He's also my husband, and I'm very proud of him. Tonight he will be guiding our discussion and leading the live judging session. So over to you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Robyn, and thanks everybody for joining us. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night, wherever you are tuning in, watching us across the world. We'll begin with the category preamble. This is the solar system category, and this is astrophotography images of our solar system, which may include the sun, the moon, planets, or their satellites, comets, or asteroids. The images may be captured with telescopes or camera lenses using mono or color cameras, with or without filters and appropriate ancillary equipment such as Barlow's or atmospheric dispersion correctors. Entries into this category must have been produced from the entrant's own data, captured using entrant equipment. So data from professional observatories such as the ESO and NASA and paid subscription services are ineligible. composite images, such as time lapses over multiple seasons, are acceptable. The entrants sometimes will give us a 25-word optional entrant statement to give us, the judges, a little bit of an idea of their intent. Now, just on technical matters, the judges all have the ability to pixel peep these images at 100%, and they'll be given all the technical information that the entrants have contributed at their fingertips, which I'll read some, perhaps not all of, for the wider audience. The last thing is, with the scoring, each judge will be scoring an image out of 100. We will then average that score and we'll announce that score. If a judge's score is more than 5 points away from the average, they have the opportunity to challenge that score. And indeed, if they score in the 90s or above, then they can automatically challenge that score as well. And that's where debates begin, and it's fun. And last of all, we have a majority rules system where if 2 judges are in 90, but 3 judges have given it a high 80, that image will probably stay in the high 80s. That's just how the majority system works. So without further ado, if everyone's ready, sit back, let's crack on and get on with the first image, please. And the entrance statement here is a partial eclipse of the sun on the 25th of October, 2022, taken from the Romano I need Marco for this one, in Italy, on a Techno-Sky 115 800mm with a Daystar quark provenance. This is a mosaic of 10 panels, each one as a result of stacking 208 millisecond exposures. So let's get some scores in, team. All right. So this image has currently scored 83. However, we have 2 of our judges who have scored this into the gold range, into the 90s. That means either of them can challenge it, but in fairness to the image, I'm going to take the highest scorer, which is Neil. You've given this 93. Could you talk to this image, please?
Yeah. I thought this was a really phenomenal image, tremendous detail, beautifully put together. Yeah, and just a beautiful composition. So I really rated it very highly for all those reasons. Perhaps the only negative I noticed there was a bit of purple color in the dark sunspots, but otherwise I thought it was gorgeous.
Thank you so much. Now, Martin, your score would suggest this might have some room for improvement there. Could I ask you to talk to this image, please?
Yeah, nicely composed. I wasn't that keen on almost burnt out at the very edges there, particularly on the left-hand side with a loss of detail, and a glow around the edge there, a background glow that I think is, detracts from the sharpness of the edge. So those were my main comments on that image.
Thank you so much, Martin. Now, Marco, you've scored this right on the average at 83. Could I hear from you, please, sir?
I like the composition. I think it's a very good image, especially because it's not easy when you have the moon is moving over the sun and you have to do a panel, a mosaic. So there's also adding complexity. The only thing is a little bit on the edge is a little bit burnt out, and as Martin said, I believe that the glow could have been a little bit better control. Otherwise, it's a pretty beautiful.
Steve, did you have something to contribute?
Yeah, look, I think it's a really good capture, and I agree. I love the composition and everything. But when zooming in, my issue is that I see the masking going on around the sun, and that I can see that all these solar bursts are getting chopped at exactly the same kind of position. So I'm not too sure if it's some sort of masking going on. But I think it's kind of why I was just a little bit hesitant here. The glow around it, it seems a bit strange, masking wise, but otherwise, like, great image.
Now we have another judge who's scored this into the gold. That's you, Anthony. Could we ask you for your comments as well, please? You're on mute at the moment, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it took me a while to change screens. Yes, I think it's a lovely image. Solar images aren't my specialty, but looking at I understand the few technical issues that the others have brought up, in particular the overexposure around the edge and the masking around the edge. But just because of the composition and the subject matter, and I think it has quite an excellent sort of artistic composition. So that led me to push the score up a little bit more than I might otherwise have.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Well, Neil, you started this one off, so we're going to finish with you. Could we have your right of reply, please?
Yeah, I did see actually the technical issues that the guys identified. I did see the glow around the outside, and a bit of burnout on the left. So yeah, I do see the technical issues. I scored it where I scored it because of the overall nature of the image and its composition and beauty, notwithstanding some of those technical issues.
Thank you so much, team. Now, Neil, your score is locked in at 93. Everyone else is now free to rescore this image. So, Neil, could you just re-enter 93 for me, please? There we are. Thank you so much. Well, congratulations. The image has gone up a point to 84. Every point counts. So well done on the debate and the discussion. I'm sure it's valuable for the entrant. Let's go to the next image, please. The entrance statement is a total solar eclipse in Roosevelt, Arkansas in 2024, showing the solar corona and the moon's earthshine. So this is taken in Russellville in Arkansas on a Canon EOS R with a 500mm lens and many, many, many different exposures ranging from a 200th all the way down to 0.6 of a second. And this image is currently scoring 89, which is this close to a gold. That said, we have two judges who have scored it well into the gold. And the highest of those is Anthony. Anthony, you've given this one 94. Would you like to take this one on, please?
Thanks, Andy. Well, I think this is a lovely.
Sorry,
no, that's okay. Just because I'd switched windows. Yeah, I think this is a lovely image again. Again, solar images and solar processing is perhaps not my specialty, but I had a good look for noise throughout this image. Couldn't really see much evidence of noise. I like the composition. I like the framing of it. And I couldn't really see too much apart from the obvious overexposure right on the limb of the moon. But I'm kind of forgiven that again, just on artistic and composition grounds. I thought it was an excellent image.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Steve, your score is well in the silvers, but suggests perhaps that there's room to grow. What are your thoughts on this one?
I thought the corona structure is really beautiful, and especially it's not over sharpened. I've seen a lot of these images where the corona is really super sharpened. This is not like that. I think it's good processing of the moon. The only thing I could find is that there seemed to be some minor distortion or kind of dent at the moon edges when you really zoom in, especially in that little burst here. There's a little dent in the moon. So I suggest maybe this could be kind of the masking or something could be improved. But otherwise, yeah, I thought that was a really good image.
Thank you, Steve. Now, Martin is the other judge who's dropped this one into the 90s. Martin, could we hear from you on this one, please?
Yeah, sure. I really like this image. I know it's extremely difficult to get that the radial processing right. You're making that up of many images, and you can quite easily get sort of zonal differences as you move out from the center. So I thought that was extremely well done and more natural looking. As Anthony said, sometimes these can be over sharpened, and this looked much more natural looking. I actually quite like the indentations around the edge showing where you had much brighter spots, and particularly at the bottom there where you've got that a prominence there causing a red area around it. And the moon looked, slightly noisy, but more natural looking, I think. But the thing that particularly I liked was the natural appearance of the corona and the not too rapid drop off from middle to edge. The only slight thing that knocked it down a point or two was that I wondered why he didn't have the moon exactly in the middle of the image. It's just slightly offset to one side, which I find just slightly jarring.
Fair enough too. Anthony, back to you, sir. You have a right to reply.
Thanks, Andy. I understand everybody's point of view there. And I'm probably one of the people who would be the most nitpicking when it comes to details. And normally things like the overexposure on that prominence at the bottom and the slight indentations around that would annoy me on purely technical grounds. But in this case, if you look at the image from an artistic point of view, as well as mixing that with technical grounds, I think that actually adds a certain highlight to the image, and I'm quite happy with that overall.
Very good. Folks, Anthony's score is locked in at 94. You're all free to rescore this image now. Marco, just need your score, please. There it is. Thank you. Well, congratulations to the entrant. We have a gold award at 91. Well done. Excellent judging there, team. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next image now. So this is my photo of the Moon-Mars occultation, which I think shows the awe-inspiring nature of that event. This is taken at Hillsborough, New Jersey in the United States on a ZWO 678MC at 47 frames per second captured through a Meade SCT 10-inch 2,500mm with ADC filters. Martin, just waiting on your score.
Oh, sorry. I'll submit it. There we go.
There we are. Thank you so much. This image has scored a silver award at 81. Congratulations. Anthony, you're right on the cusp of challenging that if you want to. It's not compulsory, but what would you like to do?
I'm quite happy with the scores as they are.
Okay.
Andy, these images are, or this particular image, I think, has been quite fairly scored.
In that case, I'll ask you to comment on the image. If you
No
could
problem. Yeah, that's okay. No problem.
Yep. Give us a comment for the entrant, please, sir.
Yeah, well, look, it's a lovely image, really. It's and was obviously taken at just the right moment with Mars disappearing behind the limb of the moon there. And the only comments that I would have really is just that there's a little bit of noise that can be seen throughout the image. And also the moon is not perfectly sharply focused. So that's probably the only two points that I would bring up here. Otherwise, the contrast between the color of Mars and the monochrome of the moon looks really nice, and it's really quite a nice image apart from just those two items.
Thank you so much for the feedback there, Anthony. Could we go to the next image, please? So we are looking at Rima Ariadius and Rima Hyginus. The location, this is taken from Hungary on a Player One Ares M Pro with the DIY 400 1820 telescope. IR pass filter, 3 times Barlow, 500 frames. Total integration time of 12 minutes. Took me a while to pronounce Rima Ariadius. Brush up on your Latin when you do this job. Neil, your score, please, sir. Thank you. Got it. This image scores 83. Very solid silver award. Are we all comfortable with that score?
Yes, I think so.
Let's call on one of the judges for some feedback on that one. Neil, could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, certainly. I actually really like this image. I have found when personally imaging the rills, it can be very difficult to get the kind of definition that we see here. So I really like the chiaroscuro, the contrast between light and dark. It's a really excellent image. There is just a bit of diffraction rings I see, you know, the equivalent of the Mars Edge Rind effect around some of the craters. And it may have been a touch over sharpened from that point of view. So you see some light areas inside some of the craters as a result of that. So that probably marked it down a little bit, but overall, a tremendous lunar image.
Just a quick question, Neil, as you've got some expertise in this area. When we talk about a rill, what are we looking at? How is it formed? What are we seeing here?
Well, I'm not an expert on lunar morphology, but my understanding is they can be from separation, cracking of the surface as the crust has shrunk and cooled over the millennia. Anthony may have some views on that as well.
Anthony, did you want to contribute a little bit about the morphology of the moon's surface with regard to what we're looking at?
Thanks, Andy, and thanks, Neil. Well, look, I'm certainly no expert on lunar geology. I think there's a fair bit of faulting and stuff we see here from as the crust cooled and shrank. But there would also be, I believe, perhaps even in some parts of this image, you might see some lava tubes that have collapsed and some just undersurface features that have linear features that have collapsed to form some of these markings. But I think by and large, a lot of it is just cracking, and faulting on the surface just due to thermal.
Fantastic.
Changes.
Thank you for your insights, gentlemen. Could we go to the next image, please? So this is total solar eclipse on the 8th of April 2024 with background stars captured 6 months after the eclipse on October the 8th of 2024. It's taken from Colebrook, New Hampshire and Williamsburg in... Someone's going to have to help me with what VA is. I'm sorry, I know it's in America.
Vermont, I think.
Thank you. Vermont, yes.
No, Virginia, is it? Virginia.
Virginia, okay. On a Skywatcher EvoStar 80 ED with a Skywatcher 8 times focal reducer, Canon EOS 6D Mark II, and sitting on a Skywatcher EQ6R. Multiple exposures during the eclipse and 1 minute exposures for the background stars. This image has scored 85, a very solid silver award. Anthony, are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I think so, Andy. It's again, it's a lovely image. The processing around just outside the lunar disk itself is quite striking. I'm no expert in processing of lunar eclipse or solar eclipse images like this, but I find this image extremely appealing and well done.
I have a feeling that this would look great on a T-shirt. You know, it's got that kind of bold, graphic, amazing kind of feel to it. Congratulations to the entrant on your silver award. Could we go to the next image, please? Magnetic Shadow AR370, one of the most beautiful sunspots groups in this solar cycle, captured with good seeing at half an arc-second resolution. This is taken from Italy and on a C11 Celestron HD at f10 with Bada Astro Solar and Optolong red filters and a ZWO camera, stacking 310 millisecond images. And we have a gold award, boom, straight to the top. So this is obviously a top hit. This one will be played on radio stations around the world. But seriously, folks, we've got some amazing scores here. We have 4 judges in gold and 1 very close. So I'm going to pull out a little feather out of my hat, and this is a Panel Mentors Challenge. So what happens in a Panel Mentors Challenge is I'm going to call on some of you to speak about the image, and then I'm going to let you all rescore this wherever you see fit. All right? So the highest one currently is Martin at 96. Could I ask you to talk to this image, please, Martin?
Yeah, this was one of my favorite images of this category. Lovely composition, nice balance between background and the main sunspot, incredibly detailed, real feeling of pure energy and movement there. Lovely granulation, well defined there, and just beautifully balanced. Very pleasing image indeed.
Now, Anthony, you're just out of gold at 88. Could I ask you to talk to this one, please?
Yes, I mean, I also find this to be a very great image. The level of detail here is really quite striking. The image has been very well processed. So yes, I actually think it probably does warrant a gold award.
Thank you so much, Marco. You're well in the gold. You're right on 92 on the score average.
Yeah, to me, I reached this level of resolution during daylight imaging is not easy. To me, it's one of the best images I've seen on in a normal light, and definitely there is it's very difficult to find problems. It's the composition, the processing is super detailed, not excessive. It's a really great image.
Thank you so much, team. Well, you now have, all of you, the right to rescore this image however you see fit based on the discussion. And the image now scores 94. Woo! Congratulations to the entrant. Very fine image indeed. Let's go to the next image, please. So the entrance statement is every 10 minutes, 50 to 100 exposures in a row. It's taken from Bodroghalholm. The equipment is a A6100 TT Artisan 500mm f 6.3 at 6.3 with exposures ranging from a 60th to a 160th of a second. Just need your score, please, Marco. Thank you so much. This image is highly commended at 78. Now, right on 78, we have Martin. Could I ask you to talk to this one, please, and give some feedback to the entrant about perhaps how the image may possibly go to the next level at another time?
Sure. So yeah, nicely composed image. I like it balanced in the frame there. Each image is nicely processed. As far as noise and detail goes, it's not over processed. My 2 qualms are that the first 3 or 4 images look pretty much the same. That I would like to have seen more progression between individual frames and maybe from beginning to end, and also that the edge of the umbral region is, to the eye, it looks much sharper than that. And you've got to try and bring that out in the image, the sharpness of the umbral region versus the penumbral region. It's a bit of a soft progression from umbra to penumbra. So that would mean a bit of a gamma adjustment to bring that out better.
Thank you so much, Martin, for valuable feedback. It's good having you experts on board. Well done. Next image, please. The entrance statement. On August the 9th, 2024, the sun displayed a remarkable level of activity, reflecting the peak of its cycle, with a dynamic array of not less than 264 sunspots. Also taken from Italy on a HC11HD Celestron OTA with Bada Astrosolar and Optolong red filters and a ZWO ASI 2600mm camera. We're looking at a mosaic of 5 panels, each one as a result of stacking 110 millisecond exposures. And this image is scoring currently 87. And when I say currently, Martin, you'd probably like to challenge this one because you've given it 95, sir.
Yeah. So, yeah, you zoom in on that, incredible levels of detail from center to edge. Really nicely balanced between the frame and the middle, just spot on there. And lovely coloration. I know it's a false coloration, but I love that particular color palette that's been chosen, and really gives the feeling of the spherical nature. Solar images sometimes can appear a bit sort of two-dimensional, but this really gives a feeling of roundness. My only qualm is right at the bottom, and I've just noticed it. If you zoom in on the bottom limb, there's a red line that runs parallel with the edge. I presume is an edge of frame cropping effect that I've seen.
Thank you
but
so
otherwise,
much. Oh, sorry.
A normal magnification, I don't see it. Only when zoomed in.
Thank you, Martin. Let's go to Steve. Steve, your score's good in terms of being silver, but just not quite as high as Martin's.
So first of all, I really agree with what Martin says. When you zoom in at 100%, the details is pretty awesome. Really love that about that image. But then yes, there is that artifact at the bottom, and to me, like I don't know, in my head, like a gold award is there's no really obvious mistakes, and that's kind of a little bit of a bummer for me. Also, I mean, I have seen a lot of these kind of images, and I know it's like really kind of nice dark edges, but I don't know, a little bit of additional maybe X factor, get the sun to kind of glow on the background a little bit. I kind of appreciate that kind of aesthetic. Maybe it's just a little bit too neutral there, but again, love the processing of the details. That's amazing.
Thank you so much, Steve. Martin, sorry, not Martin. I beg your pardon, Marco. You're right on the average there, sir. Could I ask for your thoughts which way you're swaying in this one?
Well, to me, I again, fantastic mosaic, and I appreciate the complexity. I also didn't go on the gold area because of the artifacts. I mean, at this level, it's just really annoying the line on the bottom. I love especially details on the sunspots closer to the edge, because they're really standing out. They're kind of 3D. I would probably reduce a little bit the brightening in the center, but in the orange. But that is really minor. Overall, great picture. Just that frame is annoying on this level.
Very well. Martin, back to you, sir.
Yes,
fair.
Yeah, fair points. No, I mean, I picked that line up. I'd been concentrating on the center of the sun and only picked the line up after I submitted my score. So yeah, fair points.
Fair enough. Martin, you're locked in with your score at 95, but we'll ask the others to rescore now, please. And the image has gone up a point to 88. Well done. Next image, please. This is a lunar eclipse, March 13 through 14, 2025. Taken from Delray Beach, Florida, Canon EOS R5 Mark II with a 200 to 800 millimeter zoom lens, 15 exposures of various durations. Those of us here in Melbourne, Australia, enjoyed one of these lunar eclipses only a couple of nights ago. This one scores 83. Silver award. Congratulations. Let's hear from Anthony. We haven't heard from you for a little while. Could we have some feedback from you for the entrant, please?
No problem, Andy. Thank you very much. It's a very nicely composed series of images. I quite like the effect of the blood red moon there in the center. The only feedback I think I'd have for the author is just that the moon, it was a little bit soft. It may have been slightly out of focus, and also some of the images there are a little noisy, especially the color images down the bottom. If you have a good look at those, there's just a little bit of noise visible there. Otherwise, the composition is really quite nice, and the subject matter, of course, is always great to see.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Well done. Let's go to the next image, please. Alrighty, the entrance statement is the turbulent and colourful tales of Comet 12P Ponsbrooks, taken on April 2nd, 2024, from Martinsburg in Lower Austria. This is taken on an ASA astrograph, H8-inch, 2.9. The camera is a Moravian C3-6-1000. We're looking at LRGB 12,777 minutes. Total integration time of 0.55 of an hour. 55 minutes. Now, what have I got here? There we are. We have an average score of 85 for this image. And we also have an elective challenge opportunity. Steve, do you want to take this one on? Like, you're not completely alone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll give this a shot. I think I really love the structure of the tail of the comet and also the beautiful glow of the head of it. The only thing, you know, for me is that I wish there was a little bit more overhead room in terms of a framing structure of it. But in terms of, there's a little bit of noise, but I think it's a really kind of striking good balance between noise versus details. That often I see pictures of comet being over denoised. This is not the case here. I think beside kind of that framing and noise control, I think it's really excellent amount of details for something that's really difficult to capture well. So great star shape, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you, Steve. Martin, your score would suggest there's room for improvement on this one. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, overall, lovely composition. As Steve said, could have done with a bit more headroom at the top. The thing that really I found difficult with this one were the number of satellite trails going through the comet that you could see in the background from all different directions, loads and loads of them. I know this is a problem faced by lots of deep sky images and so on, but there are ways of dealing with it, and there are just too many in there. Plus also the stars had a bit of asymmetric coloration on them, some of the brighter ones, particularly at the top. So, you know, artistically lovely at superficial level, but I just think there are too many technical issues with it to score much higher than that.
Thank you, Martin. We're almost on the average there. Neil, your score is is right there. Could we hear from you, please, sir, as to which direction you think you'd go with this one?
Yeah, it's a magnificent comment and very well captured. I also do appreciate, having done some comments, that it can be quite difficult to get the framing, to get the long tail, and often you end up with the head quite close to one of the corners. So I didn't see that as too much of an issue. However, like Martin, I was quite surprised to see quite so many satellite trails. They crisscross there, and maybe a little bit more attention to the rejection criteria used for removing satellite trails would have benefited the image. But yeah, I mean, it's overall it's a magnificent common image. I also saw the point that Martin made about some elongation of the stars and some smearing of the color also were drawbacks. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful image, but some of those things pulled it back a little bit.
Thank you, Neil. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, I definitely see like all the trails of satellites, but it's one of these images where I think when you just look at it, not zoomed in on the details, it's quite striking, and I think it's a deserving image just because of the emotional impact that it has, and you don't really see these satellites trail from that kind of point of view. That's I think to me a little bit slightly different framing if possible, and this is just something that's just really nice to look at.
Thank you so much, Steve. Folks, Steve's score is locked in. I'll ask you all to rescore now, please. And the image remains at 85, but we had a good chat about it, and the entrants got plenty of feedback there to take on board. So thank you so much, everybody, and well done. Could we go to the next image, please? So this picture shows the International Space Station flying over the sun's surface. We're looking at the Canon R camera, a Celestron SCT8, and a ZWO AM5, and a self-made sun filter based on BARDA. There's a minute exposure here at 30 frames a second. And yes. So this image is taken on a Celestron OTA, and we have the Celestron Prize this year for the highest scoring image taken through a Celestron OTA. Very generous prize from our friends at Celestron. This image scores a silver award at 80, almost unanimously with the judges. Let's take some feedback on this one, some takeaways for this. Perhaps let's go to Anthony on this one, please, for some comments.
Thanks, Andy. A lovely image, and obviously a lot of planning and work and preparation goes into being in the right place at the right time with the right equipment for something like this. The only thing that I would say about this is that when you inspect the images, the individual images of the International Space Station, they are a little bit low on detail. And I guess that probably comes from the shutter speed that was used and side effects of the equipment, which is a bit of a shame, because I think that is really what the focus of this image is the multiple separate images there of the International Space Station. And it's just a shame they weren't a little bit sharper.
That space station moves pretty fast, right?
Yeah, so I've been told.
Next image, please. So on June the 12th, 2025, a majestic solar prominence soared above 100,000 kilometres, revealing our star's immense power, a breathtaking cosmic display of energy. Photographed from Italy on a TechnoSky 800mm with a Daystar Quark prominence and ASI 183mm camera. We're looking at a mosaic of 5 panels, each one as a result of stacking 208 millisecond exposures. And this image has scored a silver award currently at 82. But when I say currently, I'm thinking that Mr. Marco Lorenzi might want to challenge this one because he's given it 91. Would you like to take this one on, Marco?
Yeah, I actually what I really prize of this image is the details and the corona. It's a prominence. Is a amazing. It's fantastic. It's really nice, and I like it because it's giving a lot of dynamic. Then there is some, let's say, some issues. I mean, the details on the surface is not as sharp, but still is pretty sharp. And I like overall also the color balance. So it's a typical on reverse part of the disc is on reverse imaging, and so likes no likes. I know different opinion. I found this picture emotional, so that's why I score higher than the rest.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Martin suggests there might be some room for improvement here with the score of 73.
Yeah, I mean, overall, very dramatic image, especially with the prominence on the right-hand side there. Yeah, quite a high impactful image, but let down by a few technical issues, particularly with the larger prominence. If you zoom in there are dark areas bordering the light areas, which suggests over processing there. And that's there on the, like there's one right at the top of the disc, the flame light prominence that's got a darker border, and it's a bit slightly soft in the central areas as well. But overall, very dramatic and at face value, yeah, really quite a nice image.
Thank you so much. Anthony, your score's suggesting you're more in favour of this one at 86. Could we hear from you briefly, please, sir?
Yeah, no worries, Andy. I agree with the comments from the others. The only reason this image didn't score higher, in my view, is just because of the uneven processing that we see across the image. Picking up on the same comments that we've heard from the others, you can see some darker borders where the image has been slightly over-processed, right next to other sections where the image has been pretty much perfectly processed. So it's just a little bit uneven in processing, and also the level of detail on the disc itself is a little bit lower. That's the only reason I think I didn't score it higher.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Back to you, Marco. You've got a bit of work to do if you want to get these guys up there with you.
No, I would say I agree. On the supporting side, also let's not forget this is a mosaic, means that it's pretty normal that you have the scenes changing between one of the panels to another. So it's extremely complex and difficult that you can reach exactly the same level of details. So that is, to me, the main reason I explain why there is some parts are sharp or some parts are less. I don't think it's an issue of the processing per se.
Well, thanks very much for that. Marco, your score's locked in at 91. Everyone else is now free to rescore this image. And the image remains at 82, but we had a great chance to talk about it. And that is one heck of a solar prominence, isn't it? We'll go to the next image, and after that image, we'll take a 5-minute break. But let's do this one now. This is Montes Apenninus, and it's photographed from Hungary on an Aries M Pro with a DIY 1820 millimeter focal length instrument, 400 millimeter mirror, IR pass filter, and a 3x Barlow. 300 frames. Lucky imaging. Montes Apenninus. I had to look up how to pronounce that one as well. And the score has come in now at 84. That's a very solid silver award. Are we all comfortable with that one? Yep. All righty. Let's get some takeaway feedback for this entrant from Martin, please.
Yeah, nice detailed image of the moon there, quite a dramatic part. Nice shadow and brighter areas, and the darker area at the bottom. Couple of comments technically. The darker areas inside some of the craters seem to have a little bit of glare in them. So there's like a slight light wash, and a tiny bit of brightness subtraction would have helped with that, and a bit oddly smooth at the very bottom. Might be over smoothed, but otherwise, yeah, dramatic part of the moon and nicely rendered.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for your feedback. Team, are we okay to take a 5-minute break in the background there?
Yep.
All righty. We'll rejoin in 5 minutes. Feel free to, feed the dog, feed the cat, take a bathroom break. We'll be right back.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?
And welcome back, everybody, to the live judging of the Astrophotography Prize Solar System category, brought to you by the lovely people at Sidereal, who are sponsoring this particular category, and of course, Celestron, who are our major sponsor for the entire event. With the Solar System category now, we're halfway through. Could we have the next image, please? So the International Space Station captured with a telescope transiting the moon at 26,000 kilometres per hour. The crossing happened in half a second. This is taken from Australia in New South Wales in Williamsdale on a Sony A6400 camera mounted on a Meade LX90 telescope. The exposure is a 2,000th of a second, ISO 500, 7 frames. And this image has gone straight to gold. Gold award at 91. Congratulations. Now, once again, we have 4 judges at gold, but one of them is much, much, much higher than the others. So we'll take an elective challenge, and that's going to be from Steve. You're at 96.
I think it's just one of these images that just really gets me excited about astronomy. I just see myself as a kid having that on my wall. You know, this is a poster. Yeah, you have that in your wall. The interaction of like the space station, the moon, the blue hues. It's absolutely striking. I've got a really strong emotional kind of connection to the image, so it has to be up there for me.
Thank you, Steve. Now, Marco, you've given this a good score, but it's just not quite as high as the others. Could we hear from you, please?
Been a little bit tighter, probably. I see now. I love it. Is the color, the composition, and everything. Noisy. I know it's a challenging situation, challenging a little bit overexposed the space station. It's nice. Honestly, there is not much to say. Could keep a couple points more. I'm not so sure it's really so emotional to be pure gold, but that's my personal taste.
No problem whatsoever. Now, also in support, well, actually, all the other judges are in support of this one. Let's hear from Martin, please.
Yeah, lovely image, and I quite like the fact that it's only 7 frames combined. So those are, often with these transit images, the ISS will be in transit, and all the individual images of the ISS will be added together and then imprinted back onto the image. But this isn't like that. This is the real image, and each image of the ISS is different, affected differently by the seeing conditions and in its real place on the moon there. So the moon's slightly noisy, but you've only got 7 frames, so that's fair enough. So I like the immediacy of the image with minimal processing. Only slight question would be right at the left-hand edge, you've lost the noise completely on that, and you've just got a bluish of the same color blue along the left-hand edge, particularly at the bottom left-hand corner. But would it be nice if that's obviously been cropped off and replaced with a color? But apart from that, really nice.
Thank you so much, Martin. Well, Steve, you've got lots and lots of support, so bring it home. See what you can do.
Look, nice actually pick up on the noise pattern here at the bottom. I didn't actually notice that, but beside that, I think again for the amount of data that was acquired and the purity of the image, the fact that each picture of a space station is slightly different, and the amount of details on the moon and the handling of like highlights for that amount of data, it's pretty amazing. So really well done.
So, what do you want them to do?
Score it higher.
All right. Yeah. Steve, you're locked in at 96. Everyone else is free to rescore. Well, your wish is true. It's gone up to 92. The silver-tongued Steve Buddy. He's no super sub. He stands on his own 2 feet. Well done. I just thought to take a moment to just think of the technical detail of difficulty of this. This thing's going at 26,000 kilometers an hour, and the photographer's done this in half a second. That's gold award winning stuff, Well done. Next image, please. Alrighty, the entrance statement. This is my attempt at imaging the orange volcanoes near the Lassell crater at high resolution. This is taken in St Kilda, Victoria, with a DIY 16-inch Dal Kirkham and a ZWO ASI 2900mm with RGB filters. Looking at 4 by 3 by 1250 frames at 4 milliseconds. And this image has scored 82. Congratulations on a silver award. Now let's have some feedback on this one. Neil, could we hear from you on this? Your score is so close to the average there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a beautiful image. I love these really close-up images of the moon. You can almost picture yourself looking at the porthole of a spacecraft flying over the surface there. I really like it. I like the composition. There was a couple of issues with it in terms of I just found the intensity of the color for me is a little bit too much. It didn't declare it as it wasn't declared as sort of a mineral moon. So that is perhaps the imager was trying to bring those colors through, but perhaps in the description that might have come through a bit better. So yeah, and there was a few. I noticed some technical issues with some green rings around some of the craters. So just some technical detail there. These sort of images are actually quite difficult to do, where you're doing RGB, combining red, green, and blue images to get the colors to match up very well, as I know myself. So that's my feedback.
Thank you so much, Neil. Let's move on to the next image, please. So the entrance statement is 2023 A3 waning crescent moon and an observatory. It was the only time the comet's ion tail was clearly visible, caused by a solar wind outburst, and it looked like a wave. The location is Farm Tivoli in Namibia, and this is photographed with a Canon 7D and a 50mm lens, and a Canon 60A and a 200mm lens. We're looking at a range of exposures, 4 by 1 second with the 50 and 10 by 70 seconds with the 200. And the image score is 85, a very solid silver award. Marco, are you happy with that? You know I'm looking at you, right?
Look, it's not a perfect image, but I've been in Namibia like 20 years ago imaging, and this is really giving me the vibe of the African nights. Is the color, the sunset, the details on the comets, everything there is exactly on the right place. Would be nicer to have maybe a vertical framing. That's definitely could have given a little bit more. But I prize the balance between all the different elements and the colors, especially. It gives me in the telescope ready. It gives me emotions.
Thank you so much, Marco. I should just confirm: is that a challenge or is that a comment? Sorry, Marco, that's a question.
Sorry. Sorry,
was that a challenge or a comment?
No, I understand. I mean, I would not challenge probably because there is a quite consistency on the other judges. So I would say I will stay. Anyway, just a reminder, it's not easy when you have also moving objects, and so to get these level of details and to keep it good.
That's all right. I appreciate the comment, and I can see myself in the African bush there, enjoying that on that same night. You've described it beautifully, sir. Congratulations to the entrant on the Solid Silver Award. Let's go to the next image, please. And this is a crescent moon infrared mosaic. This is taken from Hungary on a Player One Aries M Pro with the DIY 1820mm instrument and an IR pass filter. 4 by 500 frames. Just your score to come in, please, Neil. There it is. Thank you so much. Right, we have a gold award. Bang, straight into it. 90. Congratulations. We, of course, do allow our judges to challenge golds to see if they think they're, I don't know, gold enough, if you like. Martin, you've given this one a very good score at 95.
Yeah.
But I ask you to challenge this and take it on and see what you think.
Yeah, sure. I thought this is one of the strongest images of a set. Nicely composed there, quite tightly cropped, but I think it works well in this situation. Just zooming in though, the level of detail and processing is superb. I mean, when you look at moon images, the thing I look for are the ringing artifacts around some of the sharper craters that are a diffraction effect, that if you slightly over process come out quite strongly on the moon because of the very high contrast, and that's just completely absent on there. I just couldn't fault the processing in that beautiful dynamic range and detail, absolutely incredible. So yeah, overall I think that's a really strong image.
Thank you so much. Marco, you've scored this one just a little lower than that at 86. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Just a little bit lower, but I have to say I would probably risk a little bit higher now because honestly, yeah, it's extremely beautiful composition. I like his cuspid extremely well defined. And there is another part which is also remarkable to me is aside of the sharpening well contained, there is a very good balance between the bright side on the top and the dark area. So it's a well done job, yeah, definitely.
And a quick comment from Steve in support of this one. You're also at 92.
Yeah, I think the processing on this is absolutely world class. Like the details in the surface of the moon, of the handling, of the sharpening, and whatever's going on with the processing here. The zero artifacts, and it's got this really amazing, again, like poster panoramic view, which is just really striking. So really well done.
Thank you so much. And back to you, Martin, for your right of reply. Or has it all been said?
Yeah, I just encourage people to score more highly. I think it's a really beautifully processed image. And as Steve says, the difference in the brightness between between the brighter areas at the very top, all nicely contained, and yet detail in the darker areas at the bottom. Just, yeah, a beautiful lunar processed image.
Very good. Thank you so much, team. Martin, you're locked. It's the Martin and the Marco show. Martin, you're locked in. Everyone else is free to rescore. This image has gone up to 92. Every point counts. We are looking for the top 5 in the end of all of this. So congratulations to the entrant. You've got yourself a very fine gold award. No one touched on the 2001 A Space Odyssey reference here. It's just staring at me. It's like, Star Child, there it is. But now you can't unsee it, right?
Yeah.
Next image, please. The entrance statement, Comet C 2023-A3, the comet's ion tail, was visible for the only time so impressively. The tail, caused by a strong eruption of the solar wind, exhibits a veritable wave. Location is Farm Tivoli in Namibia, and it's on a ZWO ASI 6200 mm Pro and an ASI 12-inch astrograph at 3.6. Looking at LRGB, 200, 100, 100, 100 seconds for each panel. Time frame at dawn was 20 minutes to image this comet. And the score is 87, which is a very solid silver award. We have a couple of judges, though, well and truly nudging that score a little higher. And the highest of those is Marco. Marco, you've got 92. You've got support there with a 90 and an 89 and an 88. So take it on, my man.
Again, I very, very beautiful subject. So first of all, the details, the ion tails to me is really remarkable. And the contrast, I believe there is maybe just a little bit of noise too much, but we know that these type of subjects cannot you cannot give more than a few minutes because they're moving extremely fast. So I overall I believe it's a worthy one. I respect the rest of the judges, of course. I saw also other more remarkable images in the past, but to me is a good gold.
Well, thank you for that. Now, Martin, you've got some thoughts here. I'm guessing that there's room to grow here.
Yeah. I just felt it was constrained by the borders too much. And I would have liked more, a wider field view of it. I just felt it was constrained, particularly on the bottom edge there and the right. Felt too tight. But technically, there's a satellite trail through the middle, through the iron tail, top to bottom. And also I could quite clearly see the division between the two panels, right-hand panel and left-hand panel. About 55% of the way through, there's a change in noise levels and smoothness right at the border there. But a very dramatic shot and beautiful colours and really high impact shot.
Now, Steve's the other judge currently in gold here. You're on 90. Could we hear from you on this one too, please, Steve?
Yeah, sure. I think the reason I got it gold is because of the impact, and it's in the difficulty level of taking a shot like this. It's really well structured comet, really quite striking, beautiful color. I clearly see the difference between the two panels. To me, it's like a pretty obvious kind of technical flaw, but I was totally willing to let that go just for the overall impact of the frame. I think in this case could be argued could trump some of these technical flaws that are clearly visible, but it's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Steve. All right, Marco, you've heard from the team. Bring it home. You've got a right of reply.
I think we can give it a little bit more score than this one and get it closer to gold, but yeah, that's right.
Okay, folks, Marco's locked in at 92. Everyone is free to rescore now, please. Oh, so close. The image scores 88. So came really close. Well done. Always good to have a great debate, and thank you so much for your passion on these images. Let's go to the next image, please. So the entrance statement is Comet C 2023 A3 Tushanstan Atlas in our solar system at a mere 112 million kilometers from the sun with anti-tail. Taken from Denton, Maryland, USA on a Radian 75 Petzval APO scope with a ZWO ASI 2600 MC Pro camera. No filters were used. 1 hour and 20 minutes of exposure based on 3,120-second exposures. Print score has gone straight in there. Wow, you guys were quick. This score is 84, and that's a solid silver award. Are we comfortable with that one, everybody? Alrighty then. Let's
Yeah.
get some feedback on that one then from Martin Lewis, please. Your score is right on the average there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely, natural looking view of a comet. Nice detail in the main comet there and the anti-tail. Nicely balanced. I didn't quite know what was happening at the bottom edge and the bottom left-hand edge, where it sort of fades very abruptly as it gets to the edge of the frame, which was a bit odd. Right at the bottom edge, and the star images are slightly chromatic on the upper right-hand side, but overall high impact, nice background, loads of stars, all nice and tight there, and a beautiful image.
Thank you so much for the feedback, Martin. Let's go to the next image, please. And the entrance statement is simple. It says Venus meets the moon. This is taken from Hungary on an ASI 533mm Pro and a 1308 millimeter instrument and a 3x power mate with an IR pass. We're looking at 500 and 1000 frames of lucky imaging. Just waiting on Marco's score. Sorry, Marco, can we give your score again, please? Thank you so much. Got it now. This image scores a silver at 80. Congratulations. And we'll accept that score. Now, I would like to, there's a term that's just popped up there that some of our folks listening in might be curious about. Who would like to tell the world briefly about what is lucky imaging?
So lucky imaging is the modern way of imaging the planets, where you take a long exposure photo, but it's made up of multiple short exposures. So you add them together, so you get a long accumulated exposure time. And also you have the ability, because you've got lots of frames, to dispose of the ones that are most affected by atmospheric movement and have got the worst seeing. So you pick the best 20% or 10%. Those are the sharpest frames, average those, and you can then process to pull out the detail, and it doesn't just fall apart because it's actually a long exposure photo. So the noise doesn't just erupt when you do that, because it's long exposure made up of lots of short exposures.
Well, that's a really good, concise explanation. Thank you. I'm sure there'll be some people at home going, oh, I get it now. So thank you, Martin. Next image, please.
Okay.
Entrance statement, Jupiter composite, August 13, 2022, with Europa in transit just below the Great Red Spot. Taken in Pembroke Pines, Florida, Player 1 Mars M camera, a Celestron C11 Edge HD, a TeleView 2.5 power mate, and ZWO RGB filters. 13 millisecond exposure for 100 seconds for each channel. 70% of the frames were stacked. Total integration time, 210 seconds. The image score is 81. Neil, you're triggering something that we call an auto challenge here. Now, these don't happen very often. It's just when one judge's score is more than 10 points above the average. So what this means is I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk to this image, and I'll ask some of the other judges for some feedback, but then you won't get a right of reply. Everyone will be free to rescore this one afterwards. But in fairness to the image, we'll start with you because you're the highest, if that's okay. Could you talk to the print, please?
Yeah. I quite love these images where you get the red, blue, and green composite showing how they come together to produce the color image. And we can see from the image in particular how good the blue is. And we often, as the other guys would know, the seeing conditions affect the blue channel the worst. So I have seen sharper images than this and perhaps more detail, but also given the location, I thought probably not that high in the sky. So I rated it up for those reasons. I think it's one of the best images that I've seen of Jupiter coming out of the Northern Hemisphere in recent times. So obviously it's getting better for them in terms of altitude. But that's why I thought it was a very good image overall.
Now, we couldn't let our resident Jovian expert not comment on this one, Anthony. Could we hear from you, please, on this one, sir?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I mean, it is a lovely image. And I really enjoy taking images of Jupiter and looking at other people's images of Jupiter. It's such a dynamic target. And it does pose a number of quite significant challenges. And unfortunately, it's on a couple of those sort of technical aspects that I probably couldn't mark this image as highly as I might like otherwise. We see, I think that's Europa showing the red and blue fringing there just below and right of the Great Red Spot. There are software tools around now that can fix that. The WinGPOS software package, for example, can correct for the proper motion of moons and would fix that. And also the very left-hand limb, there's a little bit of artifacting there. Again, I think just a side effect of through the three color masters being taken at slightly different times, which is always what happens with the planets. But Jupiter is one of these targets that is quite sensitive to the rotation because it rotates so quickly. Otherwise, it's a great image. I just had to mark it down fractionally just on those couple of technical matters.
Martin, could we have some brief comments from you on this one as well, please?
Yeah, sure. I was particularly struck by the quality of that blue image, which is a testament to the very good seeing on that night. Overall, nice composition, but the thing that jarred with me was putting the words in there. Aesthetically, you don't need to do that. Put that in the description, and having the red, green, and blue written in there just sort of detracted from the aesthetics of the image.
Alrighty. So, folks, this is what we called an automatic challenge. There will be no more discussion on this one, but you're all free to rescore. So, Neil, you're free to rescore, as is everyone else. And the image remains at a silver award at 80. Next image, please. Entrance statement. On 2021 12th of 03, Comet C 2021 A1 Leonard crossed in front of the globular cluster M3. We missed the occultation by a handful of hours. This is photographed from California, June Lake, on an ASI 294 MC Pro and a Celestron RASA 11. It's 87 60-second exposures for a total integration time of 1.45 hours. And this image has scored 87. Now, I'm thinking you're waving your hand there, Anthony, that you'd like to tackle this with your score of 93, and you're supported there by Martin with 91. So we should probably have a chat about this one. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I really love this image. The composition, especially when you have a close look at M3 there, it's extremely well processed and well handled. The definition all through the image is great. The noise level is nicely controlled, and I just love the detail, especially in and around the head of the comet. I just found very little to complain about in this image, really, and I thought it was extremely striking.
Well, let's hear from Steve. Your score's a little lower on this one.
Yeah, I really appreciate the processing of the comet and the composition. I think it's really, really strong. I love processing star clusters. I'm not in fan of the processing of the stars in this image. Especially the core of the clusters. I don't know, like the way the highlights have been handled in the kind of just around the core. Looks a little bit strange to me. There's a little bit of like in some sort of weird color fringe around the core of the stars. You got really white core, and then this I don't know. That's the only reason, is that it's such a prominent feature that I felt that this could have been handled a little bit differently, processing wise.
And thank you, Steve. And Martin, you're also in gold on this one. Could we hear from
Yeah.
your please?
Yeah, I thought it was a very nicely composed image there, and the contrast between the soft comet and the really sharp globular that's resolved right to the core there, quite dramatic. And then all the hundreds of tiny little galaxies in the background there, just all the way through. Totally amazing. Nice symmetrical star images, nice and round, all the way from corner to corner, and just overall a really pleasing image with that nice juxtaposition between the high resolution sharpness of the globular and the soft comet, soft but natural looking comet.
Thank you very much, Martin. Let's go back to you, Anthony, or has it all been said for you?
Yeah, I think overall, I'm quite happy with the appearance there of M3. I mean, I guess this is quite subjective, but I think from an aesthetic point of view, the choice of framing here with the comet and the placement, not that you get to choose, I guess, where the comet and the globular are in the sky, but the framing and the handling of the stars, and of course all those multitude of tiny background galaxies. I'm quite happy, I think, with a score in the gold range for this.
Thank you, folks. Well, Anthony's calling for gold. He's locked in at 93. The rest of you are free to rescore. And the image remains at 87. And I should point out for the entrants or anyone watching it at home, the majority rule has come in here, where we have 2 judges in the 90s, but we have 3 judges in the 80s. So what that basically means is majority rules, and in this case, the majority have said this is a silver award. Next image, please. Entrance statement. Eclipse diamond ring captured on April the 8th, 2024. Despite being cloudy, I seized a brief opportunity to photograph the eclipse. Photographed from Temple in Texas in the United States on a Canon R5 with an RF 100 500mm lens and a Star Adventurer GTI tracker. 1.8, an eighth of a second at f7.1 at 100 ISO. Single capture. And this image has been highly commended at 78. Are we comfortable with that, folks? So let's call on Marco for some feedback for the entrant on this image. Marco,
Yeah.
what do you think could possibly help the entrant to perhaps elevate that score on another occasion?
I actually rated him a little bit higher on the scale, because to me this is a little bit a kind of a message on resilience, right? So despite the weather, despite the clouds, which we always have to fight with, never give up. They tried, and eventually it's a nice effect. It's a nice feeling. So it transmits you something, right? And I also appreciate the fact that you have the right moment taken, so on the diamond ring, and some protuberances visible. So I like it. Honestly, I like it, and it's extremely humble instrumentation if you look at the data. So I also value that, because you can get emotions without spending fortunes. So to me, overall, is a good silver. is a good silver in my personal opinion.
Well, the I think the takeaway from that is resilience. I think that's you've got to be there to take the shot, and that's terrific that the entrant was able to capture that and bring it to us. Didn't quite get the silver award on this occasion by majority, but congratulations on a highly commended image. Well done. Let's go to the next image, please. And the entry statement is on 2024-04 of 01. The sky cleared enough to allow 13 minutes of imaging time on Comet 12P Pons Brooks. The solar activity has taken its toll. This is photographed from June Lake, California on an ASI 2600 MC Pro through a Celestron C14 SCT telescope. That's a hyperstar. 26 by 30 seconds. Total integration time 0.217 of an hour. And this image has gone straight to gold. Gold award at 90. Now, once again, we have several judges with very high scores. And I think the highest of these is young Mr. Wesley. You've given this one 96. So let's take an elective challenge from you, which means you can speak first. Your score will be locked in, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Well, look, there's very little I can find to disagree with in this image. The framing is superb. Composition and colouring is superb. The noise level is nicely controlled all throughout the image. Stars look extremely good. Overall, yeah, as I say, I didn't find too many criteria to use to knock this image down. I thought it was absolutely stunning. So that's my feedback.
Thank you so much. Now, Steve, you've given this a good score of 84, but it is the lowest score. So could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, sure. Well, two things. I mean, for me, the denoising, I can really see that the left side of the frame is really denoised a lot, almost blurry, like Gaussian blur style. And then the center has got some kind of sharpening artifacts. I'm not sure. Like, and first of all, like amazing, striking frame, right? I'm really kind of being picky about like a very particular kind of processing things. So that's one thing that bothered me. Another thing that's bothered me is that bright yellow stars that's got these kind of spikes and burned out core. Like, I don't know, that I wasn't a massive fan of that. It just felt a little bit too over denoised for me. That's all.
Thank you so much. Neil, you're way, way, way up there as well on 95. Could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, I absolutely love this image. I think the composition is fantastic, and it's got all the beautiful elements of the comet with the dynamism of the ion tail and the beautiful color that's been achieved with the dust tail. I think the head is very well resolved. That's going to be very difficult, so it's very, very good resolution there. And I really like the green diatomic carbon glow there with a bit of blue outside of it. I thought the stars, I know how difficult it can be to get the stars right with a hyperstar, so they're actually very, very good. My only feedback was on the bright yellow star, and I see that there's some diffraction spike artifacts associated with the hyperstar there, and perhaps a bit of a ring effect. But I thought in terms of despite those technical issues, it actually adds a lot of drama to the image. So I really, really like this one. That's why I rated it so highly.
Thank you so much. Anthony, back to you for your right of reply, sir.
Yeah, no, I understand the couple of technical deficiencies pointed out in the image. But really, when you look at the artistic composition of this, in addition to the technical prowess shown here, I really can't help but rate this image very, very highly.
Well, thank you so much for that. Now, your score is locked in at 96. Let's see what the others do when they have the opportunity now to rescore this image. And the image has gone up a point to 91. That's a very solid gold award. Congratulations to the entrant. Next image, please. And the entry statement here is Comet C2024 G3 Atlas on the 22nd of January, an hour after sunset and in between the clouds. This is photographed here in Australia, in Victoria, from Mount Glasgow on a Sony a7 IV 135 with f2 with a Skywatcher AZ EQ6. Exposure is 10 by 30 seconds at ISO 800. This image is currently scoring 85. You know, I'm looking at you, Steve. Steve, you've scored this much higher. Would you like to take this one on? I do warn you, you have some work to do.
Look, it's just like the pure emotional impact of it. Just look at it, like how beautiful that like tail is and the level of detail in it. I know when you zoom in, yes, there is some noise, 100%. It's a noisy image, but when you zoom out and you look at what it does and the transition of the colors and how beautiful that is and slightly desaturated look and just the emotional reaction you get, again, I just can't see that on my wall. I think it's the kind of images that makes kid look up and wonder what's up there. And it really does that. It's just got that X factor that I can't quite put a finger on. And it's one of the few images that I think has that. So that's why I rate it that high.
Thank you, Steve. Neil, you liked this image, but not as much with an 82. You've given it a good score. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Certainly. Yeah, I would echo what Steve says. The drama of the image is incredible. It is a beautiful composition, and I love the kind of foreground cloud. Probably the major issue I have is a lot of noise in the image. That maybe a little bit of extra denoising might have been able to pull that down, and also somewhat lacking in color. So I wasn't sure whether that was intrinsic to the comet or on this particular occasion, but. Yeah, overall, I see exactly where Steve's coming from in terms of the impact of the image and the composition.
Thank you very much. Marco, you're right on the average. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, I support what the other judges commented. That overall, fantastic image, emotionally very, very strong. The framing is good. I would probably move just a little bit, tight bit on to the left. Let's say what I use in my score is also consideration is not there is a lot of technical added value. I mean, just shorter exposure, some together. So right place, right moment, but I don't see is an image that requires a lot of effort. So a little bit more than noise probably I would have helped a lot to get less this less rough effect. So that's where I put still a solid silver, but yeah.
Thank you, Marco. All righty, Steve, back to you, sir.
I still like really think that for the amount of time and just again, it's about being there at the right time, right moment. This encapsulates something really emotionally strong. It's something that you rarely see with this kind of images at that level. And I can kind of go over the noise aspect and really just enjoy that image very much.
Well, folks, the image is currently scoring 85, and Steve's looking for a bit more than that. So if you could rescore now, Steve, you're locked in at 94. Oh, he's done it again. He's raised it by 2 points. You got it up to 87. Congratulations to the entrant. Well done on a beautiful image. That's a really painterly interpretation of a cometary image. Would you not agree? It's sort of a little bit different to just a I guess a cometary photo that we see all that detail and so forth. This is almost like an impression, in my opinion, and I think it's beautiful. Next image, please. The entrance statement is brief. It says 30 minutes sun. It's taken from Hungary on an Aries M Pro on a Lunt LS 80 MT. It's 100 frames by 6. Total integration time 6 by 30 seconds. This image has scored a gold at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. We have 3 judges in gold and 1 touching it. So we'll, I think, take a challenge on this one from Neil. Neil, would you like to talk to this one, please, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I was really enamored by this image. In terms of the well, first of all, the overall sun and the structure, but also highlighting where that prominence is, and then the detail and progression, and the extraordinary detail in the prominence that shows up there. So I rated it very highly. It's a beautiful image and lovely color and detail.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Martin. Martin's score is a little bit lower than yours. Martin, could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, dramatic image of a progression of a solar prominence. A nice development from beginning to end there. But the putting the numbers in there, the time, and having the box telling you which prominence it was, I don't know, it just jarred with me really. And also to the right of the little box, there's a sort of artifact, a line, a horizontal line in that box at the edge there, which is a bit weird. So there are a few technical issues like that, an aesthetic thing that meant that I possibly didn't rate it as high as the others.
Thank you so much, Martin. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you've given this 92.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this image. The dynamic nature of this, the prominence there as it evolves is quite striking. And I really quite enjoyed the level of detail and the coloration. I didn't find too much to complain about in this image, really. I thought that was actually quite the photographer did quite a lovely job on this one.
All righty then. Neil, back to you. Your right of reply. You're currently on 93.
Yeah, look, the actual writing in the image is always a point of controversy. Some people don't like that. I thought it was quite subtle. I do take Martin's point about whether it was actually necessary. But again, echoing what Anthony said, it's just overall a stunning image, and I like the way it really shows the dynamism of our sun. So I would encourage you to lift your votes on that one. I think it's a real cracker.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Neil. Neil, your score is locked in at 93. Everyone else is now free to rescore. And the image is still solid gold at 90. And that is the last image in the category. Thank you so much, team. Robyn, we'll hand back to you to let the audience at home know what's happening next.
Thanks so much, Andy. Wow, well done. Good job to our judges. The technical expertise on that panel was just absolutely outstanding. But at the same time, there was an incredible merit of being able to combine creativity and visual effects and so forth alongside that technical expertise. So well done. It was just an absolute delight to watch. And I certainly myself feel so much more informed afterwards. So thank you for all of your contributions. And that brings to a close the online judging for the solar system category for the 2025 Astrophotography Prize. Thank you, judges. Really appreciated your time that you have given us to be able to make this event happen. Thank you to our entrants. You've submitted some amazing images and it's been a delight to see them judged today. If you didn't make it into the top selection for this competition, take the time to watch the judging, learn what you can, and come back stronger for next year. Thanks also to our powerhouse team running the event behind the scenes, Daniel and Nathan, thank you so much. And to our sponsors, a major sponsor, Celestron, category sponsor, Sidereal, as well as Deep Sky West, Move Shoot Move, Chroma, Astrobin, and of course, Astrography. Thank you so much for sponsoring this event. It's amazing that we can give such incredible prizes to our winners. Thank you to our online audience for tuning in and celebrating the excellence of astrophotography. So, winners for this category, along with the overall winner, will be announced this Friday during our live awards presentation. So make sure that you tune in. Friday, the 19th of September. Online links will be on the website shortly. We'll be back from 9 a.m. Australian time tomorrow morning for the judging of the deep space category. Until then, thank you for joining us, and we wish you all the best for clear skies ahead.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?